Senate impeachment court for Sara Duterte proceeds despite SC order. In a bold defiance of the Supreme Court's ruling, the Senate's impeachment court against Vice President Sara Duterte is set to continue. This decision comes despite the Supreme Court's declaration that the fourth impeachment complaint against her was unconstitutional. But here's where it gets controversial. The Senate believes its impeachment court operates under a unique legal framework known as sui generis, which allows it to function independently of the usual judicial procedures. This concept of sui generis essentially means that the impeachment court is in a category of its own, not bound by the standard rules that govern other courts. Senator Joel Villanueva emphasized this point, stating that regardless of the Supreme Court's stance, the impeachment proceedings will press forward. He recalled a similar situation during the impeachment of former Chief Justice Renato Corona, where the Senate chose to ignore a temporary restraining order from the Supreme Court. This precedent supports the Senate's current stance to proceed with its own judgment. Senator Vicente Sotto III echoed this sentiment, revealing that a legal expert advised that the Senate could overlook the Supreme Court's decision, though he plans to review this counsel further. Sotto expressed his commitment to the judicial wisdom of the Supreme Court, but noted a significant shift in its approach to political matters, marking a complete climate change from its previous reluctance to intervene in such issues. On the other hand, Senator Bam Aquino and Senator Risa Hontiveros strongly advocated for continuing the impeachment trial, emphasizing the Senate's constitutional duty. Hontiveros expressed confusion over the Supreme Court's reference to the one-year bar rule, arguing that the rule pertains to the timing rather than the number of complaints filed against an official within a year. She fears that the new interpretation could hinder future accountability efforts for high-ranking officials. Meanwhile, some senators aligned with Vice President Duterte have called for respect towards the Supreme Court's ruling and a shift in focus back to legislative duties. Senator Imee Marcos urged her colleagues to respect the court's decision and concentrate on serving the public, steering clear of political distractions. Senator Ronald De La Rosa attributed his support for dismissing the impeachment complaint to divine guidance, suggesting that the Supreme Court's decision was also spiritually influenced. Senate President pro tempore Jingue Estrada and Senator Sherwin Gatchalian both stressed the importance of adhering to legal and constitutional frameworks, even within the political process of impeachment. As the Senate grapples with this complex legal and constitutional dilemma, the question remains, should the Senate's impeachment court have the autonomy to override a Supreme Court decision? This is the part most people miss, the intricate balance between judicial authority and legislative independence. What do you think? Should the Senate heed the Supreme Court, or is their independent review process vital for checks and balances? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Supreme Court strikes down impeachment complaint against VP Duterte. In a surprising turn of events with significant implications for Philippine politics, the nation's Supreme Court has nullified an impeachment complaint filed against Vice President Sara Duterte. This ruling emphasizes the court's stance on the constitutional boundaries governing impeachment proceedings, making it a fiercely talked about subject. On February 7th, 2025, Duterte addressed the media following the impeachment initiated by the lower house of Congress. The accusations levied against her included allegations of misappropriating government funds, accumulating unusual wealth, and even making threats against prominent figures, notably President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., the First Lady, and the Speaker of the House. And this is where it gets truly intriguing. While the Supreme Court's decision is a triumph for Duterte, it does not equate to her being free from the accusations themselves. The court in fact stated that she has not been exonerated from any of these serious charges. Still, this decision could provide a significant boost to her political future, especially since she is viewed as a formidable candidate for the presidential elections in 2028. The current president, Marcos, will not seek re-election due to constitutional restrictions on serving consecutive terms. Had the impeachment trial proceeded and led to a conviction, however, Duterte would have faced a lifetime ban from holding any public office. Duterte's claim is that this impeachment was driven by political motives, especially amidst a heated rivalry with President Marcos. Her legal team released a statement highlighting that this ruling reinforces the tenets of law and protects against the misuse of impeachment as a political weapon. Duterte is the daughter of former President Rodrigo Duterte, infamous for his contentious methods during his administration, particularly regarding the war on drugs, which has led to international scrutiny and a pending investigation by the International Criminal Court against him for alleged human rights violations. Despite such familial controversy, Sara Duterte's political strategy remains distinct, with her actively distancing herself from her father's tumultuous legacy. The Supreme Court's unanimous decision underscored their agreement with Duterte's argument that the congressional body overstepped its constitutional limits. Specifically, they noted that allowing more than one impeachment attempt against the same official within a year contravenes existing protections. The fourth impeachment complaint, which reached the Senate, was set aside because 3 earlier complaints had not yet been acted upon, making it a violation of the constitutional 1-year ban on filing multiple impeachment requests. Thus, the Senate lacked the authority to set up an impeachment tribunal against Duterte, further invalidating the lower house's actions. Both the Senate and the Office of the President have reiterated their respect for the court's ruling, signaling a measured response to the unfolding drama. What comes next? The Supreme Court mentioned that a new impeachment complaint against Duterte could be filed once the 1-year prohibition expires. In a show of readiness, her legal representatives expressed that they are prepared to tackle any allegations when deemed appropriate in the suitable forum. This case undoubtedly ignites heated discussions regarding power dynamics in Philippine politics. What are your thoughts on the ruling? Do you believe the impeachment process is being used as a political tool in this scenario? Feel free to share your opinions below.